Well, in fact, let's just get you a news that is coming in. The decks have been further cleared for Indian pharmaceutical companies to export medicines to China. The Chinese ambassador to India in a tweet says Beijing is exempting import tariffs for 28 drugs, and that will help reduce trade imbalance between the two countries. The exemption also applies on all cancer drugs. The new policy is effective from the 1st of May. Siddhant Thibal now joining us from our newsroom. This seems to be an effect of that informal summit that the two leaders had, Siddhant?
Of course, the impact of that informal summit. But remember, there was a trade meet, India-China trade talks, which happened here in New Delhi when the Chinese trade minister came here and met his counterpart. And this meet happened before the NSA went to Shanghai, before the foreign minister and, of course, the defense minister went to Beijing, and before, of course, that informal summit. So that is the main deliverables at that trade meet. The Indian Commerce Minister had said that pharma is a major issue. There's a big trade deficit between India and China. The reason of this trade deficit is the fact that India imports a lot of stuff from China and is not able to export a lot of things to China. So to bridge this trade deficit, India had asked China to open up its pharma markets and, of course, the IT sector. We really don't know the updates on the IT sector because China hasn't said anything. But on the pharma sector, this development has come where the Chinese ambassador has tweeted that 28 medicines can be imported and there will be no tariff on that. And he, of course, welcomed it, saying the fact that it will, of course, it's a big good news for the Indian pharmaceutical industry and medicine export to China. And I believe this will help reduce the trade imbalance between China and India, which, of course, I was talking the big trade deficit between India and China. There have been other issues also. Doklam is one issue which happened last year, but trade deficit was an issue which was long-standing and it was discussed in almost every meeting. But now it seems there has been a meeting of mind and this decision has been announced by the Chinese ambassador here in New Delhi.
Siddhant, you were mentioning the trade deficit between India and China, which has been of concern. It's been completely in their favor, like it is with all other countries that China exports to. Another issue that probably is bringing India and China together is a global situation with the US threatening tariffs on Chinese goods and the Chinese saying they would reciprocate as well. So in a sense, this is India and China coming together, even though it's just for these pharmaceutical products.
Well, many analysts were saying that this informal summit which happened between the Indian Prime Minister and the Chinese President was a direct, it was an impact of fraud because of the Washington and Beijing tiff. And of course, both India and China have, it seems they have finally come together and the first thing they have done is that decision on pharma. But it will take a long way. We also saw those visuals coming from May Day on 1st of May when both the armies had pictures released of they engaging on May Day, and of course there were reports of establishment of a hotline, but it will really take a long way. Today there was this MEA briefing and of course a question was asked on India and China coming together in Afghanistan, because that of course was one of the key deliverables from that summit which happened in Wuhan. So there was no direct answer, but of course the MEA spokesperson said that there will be an economic project expectedly in which India and China will both collaborate. And he gave an example of a solar project. We really don't know what will be the final nitty-gritties, but this is where India and China would like to collaborate, especially in Afghanistan, especially on the issue of trade.
Siddhant Thibal, thanks for updating us on that breaking story. India and China pharmaceutical products now will be allowed and without any tariffs.